All right, everybody. For those of you who don't know, my name is Michael Forrest, and welcome to I Am Possible. Now, before we get going, I'm going to have to ask you guys if you cannot send me any text messages during the performance. I'd appreciate that because when you're up here and you're hosting like that, and you all of a sudden you get a text message, right? It can really throw you off because it's like, oh, there's a big wall of text in front of me all of a sudden, and that can really mess you up a little bit. So if you have anything like that, please, just save it to the end. All right. Also, if you could stay clear of this top step right here, just up front here, this way nobody blocks the display behind me, and this way I have a little bit of room to move around, do the whole hosting thing, right? Also, if I could direct your attention to your menu wheel, you're going to notice at the very top of that you have a microphone icon. Now, when that microphone icon is clear, well, that means that we can hear what's happening, with you and with your environment. So I've gone ahead and we've had it turned to red, and that means that you're muted. So now if somebody comes into your space and says, hey, are you still on that thing? We're not going to hear that. So go ahead and answer them. Also, likewise, if you have a barking dog in the background, you're not going to face social ruin by becoming known as the avatar that suddenly started barking during the event, right? Now, just because you're muted does not mean you can't express yourself. You're going to notice that you have this pink cheeked smiley face in your menu wheel. When you click on this, your emoji panel will open up in the air in front of you. And when it does, it's going to give you a wide variety of options with which to express yourself. If somebody shares something deep and powerful today and it's meaningful and it really touches you right here, it starts to build up inside you, you can just let it out, let it flow just like that, right? Maybe, somebody tells a story where they swing across some quicksand, Tarzan style, and it's very exciting. You can throw up the applause just like that, offer them some encouragement. That's nice too, right? You can smile for yes or no, for like a yes to say yes, or you can maybe somebody's telling a story that resonates with you and just feel like smiling. Maybe somebody's telling a sad story. You do the frown thing, right? You could also use this to say no, right? Also, if somebody tells a funny story, you can show that you're laughing by doing this silly face emoji just like that there. And then there's this thing. All right, this is by far the most distracting of all the emojis, okay? And we're going to use this not to ask questions, not to get on our list. We're going to show you how to do that in just a minute. But we're going to use this to alert me if there's any kind of a problem, right? Like if, for example, I'm waving my hands around, it looks like I'm talking, but you guys can't hear me. That's when you're going to want to use that, right? Also, if maybe the moderators have had, been to one too many I Am Possibles, and they want to, kind of take it out on and act out a little bit, and they want to set the stage on fire. That's happened before, okay? So like, we really got to rethink this slide. Because the flame's on the bottom of it. It doesn't quite go with the bit, right? But yeah, it's a way to alert me that there's a problem. And if I only see one of them go up, I'm probably going to keep on going because it might be somebody messing around. But if I see 5 of them go up at one time, I know it's something that I got to address, okay? So that's going to be our agreement. That's going to be our sacred pact. That's going to be our bond, audience. That's what we're going to do. All right, now, what is I Am Possible about? I Am Possible is an event, right, where we're going to share stories and stuff like that, where you've overcome difficult odds, or somebody that has, and you want to share that story today, or maybe it's a book or a movie you read where somebody did that, where they faced difficult odds and they overcame it, and you're going to share those stories today. And the way we're going to do this is you're going to notice, first of all, any stories that get shared today, if you find it's too personal and you don't want it to appear on YouTube, because you'll notice we have Ravenhall up there. No longer looks like a robot, but that is our YouTube camera. And if you want to feel alt space famous, go ahead and give a wave on out to YouTube. Be like, hey YouTube, how's it going? We got a lot of people in here. We got TNT, one of our regulars. We got Deadshot 101. We got Tyler up in here. We got a lot of people here today, and everybody looks a little bit different because these are the new alt space avatars. You might even be seeing them here first. I don't know, but we'll see. This is probably going to go out on YouTube for a couple of weeks from now, and so it'll probably be old news by then. But there we go. All right, now, yeah, because I don't know about you guys, but I woke up feeling different this morning, right? Really different. Like changed. Like I can't feel my legs. I can't find my favorite shirt. My wife had a dress. I'm looking really different, and so are all of you. It's a little weird. All right, but we're going to press on because I am possible. All right, now let's going to give you guys a little bit of history on how I got started with this word here. All right, when I was actually my slides are up. There we go. Okay. All right, let's see if that works. Yes, it did. All right, awesome. So like I said, I'm presenting a little bit differently. I'm going to get into why in just a little bit. So there's a little bit of a difference going on here, but we'll explain that in a moment. When I was a kid, right, I was, growing up in Brooklyn, New York, and there was a, actually, wait, one thing. We're going to start out. This thing is all backwards here. What we're going to do is you're going to notice in the lower right, there's going to be a raise hand button up here. This is how you're going to get on my list, okay? And now if you want to share a story today, you just press that raise hand button. We'll get you on that list, and we'll pick you between the pauses between story, because literally, let me tell you, pauses are the natural enemy of an all-space event host. We don't like them. All right, so I'm going to keep on going if nobody raises their hand. But first, let me give you a little bit of background about how I came in contact with this word. When I was a kid growing up in Brooklyn, there was this one summer where a couple of, just large group of kids actually, who were a couple years older than me, they'd find me in this alleyway every day and they chased me down and they beat me up. And every time they did, they told me, "Don't run. It's impossible. You'll never escape." And they also told me, listen, you're never going to win. Don't fight back. It's impossible, right? And they kept using that word, and I thought I knew what it meant, right? Impossible meant you couldn't do the thing, right? But as it happened, right, at the time, my daddy owned a bar, right? And at this bar, a man came in one day with a shopping bag. He had a few drinks, and when he went to settle his bill, he asked my dad, he says, "Do you have any kids at home?" And my dad says, "I got two boys at home." And the guy picks up the shopping bag and he puts it on the bar and he says, "Well, they're going to like this." And he slides it across to him. My dad's thinking it's the biggest tip he's ever gotten. He looks inside the bag, maybe he was expecting to find some cash or something, but instead what he saw was a stack, right, of Batman comics. And he brought those home and he slid the first of many under my door. And in the morning when I got it, I picked it up and I read this. And I didn't read this like a kid reads a comic book. I read this like it was an instruction manual, right? And what I did was I filled up my backpack, right? I had a backpack and I filled it up with these glass marbles and I put a drawstring on the bottom. I modified it, right? And I went into the alley that day and those kids started chasing me, right? And then I just pulled on that drawstring really hard. And what happened was I started running, even faster. And for the first time, I made it to the garages. And then just past that was this wall. And I scrambled up that wall on top of the garages. And I looked back down the alleyway and I couldn't believe what I saw. All these kids were falling down. They kept trying to get up and they keep falling back down on the ground. And, I started laughing. I started giggling. This was great. But then I stopped laughing because I realized I had done what they said could not be done. I had done that word that they kept saying it was impossible. Now, impossible didn't mean you couldn't do the thing. Impossible was just a word for, that's something you haven't done yet, right? And I felt like people needed to know. So, statute of limitations is up by now. I can confess this. What I ended up doing was I went to the library and every dictionary I could find in that building, I'd look up that word impossible and I crossed it out with like magic marker, like a Sharpie type thing, and I just blacked it all out on every single one I could. I thought it was a public service, but I was a really young kid at the time. And ever since then, whenever I hear the word impossible, it's kind of like a dare. All right. When I hear that word, I just want to keep going. All right. So now let's see here. We don't have anybody on the list yet. Let's see. All right. So if you have a story that you want to share where you overcame difficult odds or when you overcame what you thought was impossible, what people around you thought was impossible, and you did the thing you didn't think could be done, right? We want to hear about it. So just let me know by pressing that raise hand button in your lower right, and you'll get on our list, and we'll take that in the space between stories. But I'm going to go, continue because, like I said, we can't stand the pauses in here. And I'm going to tell you one about in the early days of the U.S., back when they were doing the prospecting and all the gold mining was going on, there was a gold miner who came into possession of all things, a gold mine, right? And what happened was, he starts working this mine every single day looking for gold. And at the end of the day, he would go into town, into the saloon, and he'd have a drink and, he'd unwind a little bit. And there would always be this man there. And this man came up to him and he says, "Listen, I'll take that mine off your hands if you're willing to sell it to me." And the miner said, "There's no way I'm ever going to sell this mine. There's gold in that mine. I can feel it in my bones." So he kept getting asked every single day, "Will you sell it to me?" And the guy's like, "No." "Will you sell it to me?" And the guy's like, "No." Right. And he keeps on saying no. And then, every day he came into the saloon, he looked a little bit more haggard, a little bit more beat up. He was getting worn down pretty bad. And then along came one of those days, and you've all had days like this where nothing goes right. His fuses were wet, his pickaxes were breaking, right? And it just kept getting harder. And he came into the saloon all beaten, and the man came up to him, and the miner says to him, "Fine, I'll sell you the mine." And he gave it to him at a good price too. So what happened was a few days later, the miner comes into the saloon, and the man is there, and he's celebrating, right? He's buying everybody drinks. He's all lit up. He's having a good time, and he's really enjoying himself there. And so the miner asked him, "What's the occasion? What are you celebrating?" And the man says, "Well, we found gold in there. In that mine you sold me, we got gold." And the miner was like, "Oh, you got to tell me, how close was I?" Right? And he says, "Well, I only dug about 3 feet." Now, for the rest of that miner's life, right, every single time he felt a difficult challenge, every time he was about to give up, he would always tell himself, "I'm 3 feet from gold." Right? I always love that story because, life is like that, right? As soon as you hit a difficult obstacle, as soon as you start to get stuck, right, that's about the time, if you keep on going, that you're going to break on through to solving the thing, right? And that's actually why we started doing this event. This was only supposed to happen one time. This was going to be a one-time event. And at the event, there were a couple of stories that were told. And during that, I kind of learned that it's not the word itself that's the problem. It's our relationship to the word, right? And so, it was kind of a thing where I felt, let's keep this going, because every time we did this, I'd learn something new and about the word itself and about how people interpret it. And really, it's honestly, it's how we interpret the word. And I was kind of hoping that people would come in here and it would be like, if somebody's in a difficult relationship or maybe they're facing a difficult problem at school or at work, that they would hear stories about how people would push through and they would keep on trying in their own life, and so we've been doing it every week, and it's helped some people, and that's a good thing. Let's see, we don't have anybody on the list yet. Okay. All right, so I'm doing something a little bit different today. I normally save this to the end, all right, but with the new avatar changes, I wanted to try something different today. All right. Now, little background about me. I've shared this. If you've been to my Go Time event, you may have heard that I've been in bed for the past couple of years, right? And due to medical condition. The way this happened was when I was in Brooklyn, when I used to live in Brooklyn, I worked from home. And in this house that I was in, right, there was, like I just started having trouble. Like my words were starting to slur. I was, getting confused a lot. And then I got to a point where it would take me all day to remember how to write a check, and something was wrong. And my family could tell. Well, they took me out for breakfast one day and I was just really off. And they got worried about it. So they got me out of that environment, and they went and they had the air tested because my mom said there was like a presence in there, right? Not like the place was haunted, but you could just tell something was wrong. And so they had the air tested, and it turned out that only 10% of the air was actually breathable oxygen. The rest of it was comprised of two of the deadliest molds, all right? If you've ever heard of black mold, it'll give you some idea of what I'm talking about. Right now, all of that was in my body, and as soon as I got it, people nodding, somebody's heard about it. All right, cool. So what happened was, as soon as I got out of there, my body started to fight back, started to push the stuff out of my body, and this took the form of making my heart race really fast. It would go up to like the way if you feel if you're running as fast as you can, except it would go on for like 20 hours at a time, and I'd get incredibly dizzy. All right, really, it was really bad. So I had a lot of times, moving around. It was kind of tough, and then I started. My parents, they got me because I had to get rid of everything I owned. Right. And so that means I lost my computer and everything. And then my parents, they got me an Apple iPad to reconnect with the world. All right. And while I was doing this, I saw a commercial for the Oculus Go. Right. And I got the Oculus Go, and I saw, I started reading up on AltSpace, and I couldn't wait to get in here. Right. So I came in here, and then when I did, I tell the story on Go Time. You might have heard it, where I looked up and I saw the sky, and that looked a lot like what I remember it. Right. This looks pretty real, even in here now, even with the bad lighting. So what I did was, I was very grateful for this. So I started volunteering for AltSpace that first day, right? And I started modding events, and I started hosting events. And let me tell you something, you guys are going through this with COVID, where you're home all the time now, and you start losing track of the days, right? Back then, I didn't know what day of the week it was. But now, when I started hosting events, they tell you, listen, you got to be there Tuesday at 7:00. Now, I got an audience that's depending on me to show up. I know, like all of our avatars, we look different now, but I know there's people behind every one of you. Right. And, you can feel the audience when you're up here and you're doing this. You can feel people looking at you. It's an unusual feeling. And when I first started hosting events, I'll tell you, I would sit there and I'd point at the screen. I'd go, and my heart was going really, really fast. And when the event was over, it wouldn't slow down because of my condition. But I kept showing up because I really enjoyed it. I kept doing one event, another event. I kept doing it. Now I'm up to over 300 events. And let me show you something. All right. We started working on building worlds around that time. Right. And when we were building the worlds and we were working on all these different things, we'd use that word impossible a lot. Like this world that you're standing in right now, this was built on an old laptop that can only run Unity for about 15 minutes at a time. All right. And also that Apple iPad. Right. So we didn't have the tools. But we went ahead and we got a computer. So I had a face sitting at the computer all day. And the first couple of days, I wanted to fall out of the chair that this is so bad. But what I'm going to do right now, this is the first time in AltSpace that I'm doing this. Okay. I'm standing up. Right now, I'm standing up. Okay. I'm going to recenter so it actually looks real. And now I'm going to do the remainder of this event while I'm standing. All right. Because this is what I've done. I built myself up using AltSpace. I played not just AltSpace, but I played Beat Saber. There was some of that going on. I tried that Echo Arena. You guys tried that Echo Arena? It's pretty amazing, right? This is the first time I'm doing this. All right. And this is how much I brought my health back. All right. And this is all because I didn't believe in that word impossible. All right. Because, I'll be honest with you guys. When I was, I was on my back for about a year, and I was really feeling like I was going to die. Right? Like I'd fall down. I'd hit my head on the sink. And I'm picking out places like, all right, well, if I fall down here, this is probably going to upset them less. No, maybe over here. Maybe this will do it right over here. This is the perfect place. And I basically kept on doing that, trying to figure out, how I would go about, making this work. And, but I got to tell you, some real close calls, but that spirit of not believing in the word impossible actually led me to this point where now I'm going to be presenting in most of my events now. I'm going to try to present standing up because I think the body language is a lot more convincing. Like when my hands come down at my sides like this looks cool, right? Doesn't this look cool? Even without my legs, this looks cool. All right. I know because I did a couple of tests just to make sure I wouldn't fall, because it is a little bit rough, but I definitely want to keep doing it. So yeah, that's that whole thing. Now, if you guys want to share a story with where you overcame difficult odds, right? Or where you did something that you thought couldn't be done, or you thought something was impossible, I want to hear about it. All right. So press that raise hand button. Let's see. We got somebody on the list now. Let's see. Who do we have? We have Sam Hyde. You are now on the air. Sam, what's going on? Where are you? Sam,
I'm right here.
speak to me.
Yeah.
Where are you? I don't see you. Let's see. I got Grizz. Let's see. There you go. Come on up here so everybody can see you. Come on up, right? Stand up here and feel alt space famous. All right, everybody. We got Sam up here. Sam, you got something for us? What's up? What's going on, Sam? All right, you're muted again. All right, let's see. You must have pressed that button. Can you press that raise hand button again? That'd help out a lot. Otherwise, you're up on the stage. And everybody's like, Sam's about to say something, but he's not saying anything. All right, let's see here. Let's see if we get you on here. All right, Sam, you are on the air. Let's try that. Any luck?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you great. Go ahead, Sam. What's your
Okay.
story? Tell us about it.
Cool. So basically, I lived all throughout my childhood. I was a big troublemaker. I got in a lot of trouble, got bad grades, went to college, didn't know what I was doing. And I never really found my way, never really knew what I wanted to do. Fast forward many years, eventually I found Jesus. And after I found Jesus and God, it all started to make sense. Now I'm a highly successful businessman. I own 2 different companies, and I sell cars on the side. And it's all
Wow.
thanks to Jesus and God.
Well, good for you. That's awesome. Have you checked out VR Church in all
Yeah.
space?
Yeah, I've been there. I
they got
did
it.
preaching
Yeah.
there.
Oh, wow. Cool. Yeah, neat
Yeah.
stuff. That's awesome.
But also, I'd
It's
just like to say, I heard your story. That's the greatest thing I ever heard. I didn't
wow.
know that you use this to overcome your difficulties.
Oh, yeah. And
That's
I'm not
kind
the
of
only one,
inspiring.
actually. There's a lot of people in here that have had disabilities and stuff that they've struggled with, and they actually used VR to overcome that in a lot of ways. So it's, it's actually
Yeah,
more common than you think.
that's great. That's
Yeah.
nice to see.
Thanks. Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's incredible. That's really cool. Sometimes finding your faith can make all the difference. Let's see. We got other people on the list too. All right. It always makes things easier when people are, willing to share their stories here. All right. Let's see. We have Pigeon 96. Pigeon 96, you're on the air. What's going on, Pigeon? Where are you?
I'm up here.
You're up here. Oh, no. Now you're next to me. Okay, cool. There you go. All right.
I'm just going to say this now. Mine's not going to be nearly, oh crap. Mine's not going to be nearly as good as his, but
Well, you know what? It's not a contest, and you never know how your story is going to affect somebody. You never know.
So
you might just inspire somebody in just the right way. Like maybe Natural David's not too sure about that hat. Okay, cool. Here we go. Go ahead. What do you got for us?
About 3 weeks ago, I had been dating a girl for 3 or 4 years at the time, and I actually was planning on engaging to her last week.
Oh, wow.
And that got shut down when 2 weeks ago I was sick and I couldn't go to a party, and a text came through to me from one of my friends saying, "Hey, your girl has been cheating on you for a year and a half at that time." And I had been completely oblivious to this, and it ruined me. It honestly did. And that was the first time I got on alt space, and I just started talking around to people, and I met a group of people who've gone through the same exact thing as I have. And
wow,
it really helped me to see how they came back from this kind of loss.
Yeah.
And it just
sometimes having a common experience can really bring people together. That's true. And you can get a lot of strength from that. That's cool that you found that support. So what happened with the girl? You guys break up?
Yeah, it was bad.
You don't want to give her another chance? Like maybe she's the one, man. No.
It was
okay.
She'd been cheating on me for a year and a half.
Okay. Oh wow, that's a long time. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that's so. Do you feel better now? Do you feel like equipped to go out and just see what's out there? Or,
I mean, I'm not ready to do that yet. Mainly because I don't want to go through. It's not that I don't want to. It's just that I don't feel like I have the emotional capabilities at the moment to.
Yeah. Sure.
But I'm planning. I'm hoping.
Honestly, if you just came in and just started talking, I wouldn't know you were upset about a thing. You sound all balanced and even. Kind of happy. He's got that little green highlight in the hair. It's working, right? All right. Let's see. Who else do we have on the list? Thank you for sharing it. It's awesome. And I hope that it goes in a more positive direction. All right. Let's see. We don't have anybody else on the list at the moment. Okay. So if you do have a story that you want to share with us today, just press that raise hand button in your lower right, and we'll take your story there and get you up here. But in the meantime, I'm going to jump into another one. All right. Now, this one I like a lot. This is in the early 80s. There was this couple, and they had a 4-year-old son. Right. And at the age of 4, this boy could already speak 3 languages. Okay. And his parents were very proud. All right. He was a very special kid. And that's why they were kind of surprised when they noticed he was slurring his words. They started bumping in his stuff. He just started school and he was fighting with other kids. And they're like, this isn't our boy. This isn't our son, right? So they took him to the doctor to see what was wrong with him, right? And, the doctor ran some tests. And what happened was he eventually, after a bunch of tests, got diagnosed with a disease I have no business trying to pronounce. And it's commonly known as ALD, all right? And what this was is a degenerative disease. And they told him, listen, your son, he only has a couple of years left to live. Okay, so you're going to have to really just come to terms with this. They gave him the number of a support group, and they told him there's nothing you can really do. You're just going to have to accept this. Now, they didn't contact that support group. In fact, the support group contacted them. They actually showed up at their house saying, listen, we know you've been calling around to a lot of doctors, and you got to understand that this is impossible, right? There's that word again, right? I can't stand it. Now, the couple, right, they said no, right? They refused to accept it. And even though they had only a high school education with regard to math and science, they got access to these medical journals, these medical libraries, and they started studying. Right? They started learning gradually the language of math, language of science, the language of chemistry. And they kept studying, and eventually they found out about this study that was done with this oil. And this oil was shown to separate the lipids from the blood, right? So what happened was they went to the doctor saying, listen, we think we're onto something here. And the doctor said, listen, you guys are just lay people. You don't know about this stuff. You got to really just kind of spend as much time with your son as you can. And so, despite what the doctor said, they went ahead and they started giving the oil to the son. They started putting it in his diet there. And what happened was he, gradually they had the blood tested, and it seemed like the disease was starting to slow down. And so they felt they were onto something. And they told the doctor again, listen, this is doing something. And the doctor says, no, it's just, it's coincidence. There's no way. But they started writing letters. Now, this is back before there was email, right? There was something like email really in those days. So they were making all these expensive, phone calls. They were writing these long letters to all these chemists and pharmacists. They were asking, if we could, if there's something, way you guys can. Oh, okay. I'm seeing a lot of hands going. I'm just going to text that my voice is off. Anybody else here? My voice is choppy. All right. This has been happening in events lately. Just give me a moment. This is less than professional, but just give me a second here, and I'll come right back in. All right. Just stand by. All right, everybody. Let's see, I got my megaphone still on. Somebody's up. Look, they were trying to take my place up on stage. I don't know about that. All right, here we go. How's my voice quality now? Let me see some hearts if I'm sounding good. Am I nice and clear again? All right, see, that's not really professional. I don't know what's going on. Lately, it's like halfway through the event or towards the end, your voice just goes. I don't know what that's about. Oh, actually, wait, you guys keep doing them hearts, man. That feels good. Maybe some applause. Give me some applause. Make me feel good. I'm going to give some applause going on here. There we go. Oh, that's nice. All right. So anyway, they kept writing these chemists and these pharmacists all these letters, and one day it landed on the desk of a pharmacist who was about to retire. It was his last day, and what happened was he was so touched by the letter that he wrote them back saying, "Listen, I'll produce this for you. I'll stay on longer and I'll produce this for you, but we're gonna have to call it something. So would it be okay we name it after your son?" And the guy, the couple said yes, right? And they named it after his son, and they called it Lorenzo's Oil. And they actually made a movie about this. Or you can look for that and see it. This is a pretty inspiring story. And what happened was, this oil, right? They gave it to the son once it was made. And he lived to the age of 28, where he died from complications of pneumonia, all right, that was set on by some of the damage that was done by the disease early on. But he lived a lot longer than they thought they would. And while the son was alive, every time they would advertise what happened, and they would make it so that if the markers were found in your blood, they would approach you and they'd offer you this oil. And now there were people who were able to push off the onset. Wow, really? Dude, that's not cool. Okay, let's hopefully, looks like I got rid of them. That is something that in all space we call a troll. Okay, it is somebody, and I've never understood this, people who delight in the suffering of others. Right? I don't understand it, but if it's giving him some joy, everybody, so let's put up a bunch of sad faces for that troll. Let's try doing a sad face thing. I'm sad for the troll, because how you got to be in your life where you're going to get pleasure out of somebody else's suffering. I don't understand it. I never have. All right, but they're going around all space doing that, right? Oh wow, now I feel like I'm getting booed. Look at all those frowns. All right, let's not do that again. No, that didn't go well. That didn't test well. Can't be doing that. All right. So what happened was a lot of people's lives were saved. Thousands of people's got to live much longer lives just because one couple said no. Just because one couple refused to accept the word impossible. Now, if you have any more stories that you'd like to add on to this, or just press that raise hand button. We're almost out of time here. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I got Magenta Monkey telling me he's been doing that at a lot of events. I know I've been seeing the reports come in on the Community Helper channel. And, look, let's be honest, it's really offensive. I mean, what are we going to do? To come in trying to ruin our time. And we've got about 15, 20 people in here right now. And one person comes in to try to mess it up. Somebody else popping in. Jeff, are you going to do the thing? Jeff, are you that guy? No? All right, don't mean to put you on the spot. We just had a thing happen. All right, well, I'm going to have to edit the YouTube footage, apparently. Okay, well, I think I can do it because I don't know if you guys heard I Am Possible. All right, let's see here. Now, what we're going to do, right, is at the end of our events, we have this thing that we do, right? And there was a time when we thought this was impossible, too. You see these two buttons up here? I'm going to press this top button, and when I do, you're going to see a Ravenhall Talon hovercraft. Wow, that's just wow. I got to tell you, I've been doing this for a year and a half, right? And I tell you that kind of thing happens again, really sour time. I really enjoy doing this, but you got to remember something. We don't get paid to do this. We don't. All right. Most of Alt Space event hosts, we don't get paid. Maybe if you're an admin, you do, but most of us do this, just because we enjoy it. And somebody comes in doing that, it can really throw you off there. It's kind of a shame. But yeah, so these two buttons here, when I press this button, what's going to happen is you're going to see a Ravenhall Talon hovercraft come up over this wall. All right, it's going to fly over the forum, and it's a touchdown on the top of that landing pad right there at the top of the stairs there. And that's going to take us out to a space called the Ravenhall Flight Academy. I don't know what to do. Listen, guys, like I said, I've done over 300 events. It's the most I've ever seen in terms of even back before we had the host controls. That's just, really, yeah, I've seen the sad faces. It's not fun. All right, everybody. Well, that kind of puts a tone on it, doesn't it? But let's not give up here. All right, let's press on because we are possible. What we're going to do now is we're going to call the ship in. You're going to see this. And this ship you can fly, by the way, if you like. It even fits the new avatars. It's you're going to have to adjust the size a little bit when we're done, but it still fits us, and that's pretty cool. We can try flying these ships around. You're going to see that in just a moment. And if you've enjoyed our content, made your point. We go to altvr.com, and at altvr.com, you're going to see up in the upper left where it says channels. And I'm seeing all the frowns. I'm sorry, we're kicking them as fast as we can. But you go up there, and where it says channels, you'll see a list of all the AltSpace event channels, and among them, you're going to see Ravenhall events, like it says on that back wall right there. And if you click on that, you get taken to our event channel. And our event channel, you've got a join Discord button. Hopefully that person won't be joining us there. And we can if you've got any questions you want to ask, or you just want to say hello, you want to help us put on events like this, just feel free to join up and say hi. Also, you'll notice there is a what is it called? There is a subscribe button in the upper right. And when you press on that, it lets AltSpace know you enjoy our content. As I just mentioned, we don't get paid to do this. So every time we see that number go up, it's a great way to say thank you. It also makes us feel good when we see our YouTube subscriber, count go up there. And that's a great way to really, help keep us going there. Because I got to tell you, when you have a day like today, man, that is just really discouraging. All right. I'm not seeing my last slide come up here. So you're going to bear with me because I'm in my space here. It's a very different way of presenting. Let's see if I can get this going here. All right. Is it there? Let's see. No. All right. Okay. It's not exactly really doing it. Let's see here. Try this thing going on here. Okay. All right. Well, the last slide's not showing for me. So, okay. Well, I'll work that out later. Sorry, guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to press this now. All right. And when I do, direct your attention over to that wall right there. Here we go. I'm going to press on that button.
Ravenhall Talon aircraft en route to your position.
Okay. Get everybody unmuted
Please
here.
stay clear of the landing pad.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Now, direct your attention over to that wall, and you'll see the Talon ship coming up here. Right. And now this is going to take us to the Ravenhall Flight Academy where we can learn how to fly. So everybody come on out.
Cool.
Come up these stairs on the landing pad and join me at the Ravenhall Flight Academy. We'll teach you guys how to fly. Let's get going. And again, you can fly these ships if you want to try. Here we go.
Oh, really cool.
Talon aircraft is now boarding for transport to the Ravenhall Flight Academy. Please step into the blue light. Thank you.
Let's get out there.